forbidden. Any aspect of law that does not recognize the separation of church and state. Under Sharia law, they are one in the same. Any political system that is espoused to be separate from that established in this country, like in Dearborn, Michigan, where the police are not even allowed to enter, no entry zones. Sharia law only is recognized in those areas. Or in parts of the Midwest, where cabbies will not pick up fares at the airport if they came back with alcohol in their luggage. Any aspect based on race, gender, national origin, or religious freedom that justifies slavery. That any person is of lesser or greater value, and that any person needs to be submissive to any other. The other aspects the Sharia law does espouse to some barbaric punishments for rather mundane crimes. And I will leave the balance. If you have your questions later, by all means raise them to me, or I'll be around afterwards. And the petition itself, you can read the whole text of the petition. I thank you very much, and again, God bless America.
I'm really fortunate to be here in America and met this gentleman, Diekilman. I have a great respect for this man. When I found out he reads more books in 1 week than many people, they don't read it in their own lifetime. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Honorable Diekilman.
What he didn't tell you is our comic books, so I read fast. I do have to ask you a question. Please forgive for asking a question. Does anyone live up in Horseshoe Canyon? Do you know where it's at? You live in Horseshoe Canyon?
My son does.
Your son does. Several years ago, I built Horseshoe Canyon. I was one of the superintendents for building that, so if you have any problems, don't talk to me. I'm a pastor now, okay? But I remember all the trips I used to make out here down 15, and there was no traffic then. It was really cool. Then you guys came, and welcome home. I was a builder for many years, and God called me back into the ministry because I left the ministry. I want to share with you a couple things tonight, and I will try to be very brief. And if you need to stand up and shout, why, don't. I want to first tell you that I'm a Christian. This nation was founded on Christianity. It was founded on biblical principles. It's founded on the Bible. It's a wonderful thing that was founded in the Bible. I want to tell you that I'm a Christian because I've struggled in my life with my faith and my belief. I haven't always believed what I believed. There was a time when I had a lot of doubts and a lot of fears and a lot of frustrations. And I trained for the ministry and I left the ministry because I was so frustrated with the church. And after struggling with my faith, struggling with the Bible year after year, I came back and realized exactly who God was. And I'm convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt today of who God is. And I know what I believe because I've struggled with it. My invitation today, as I speak to you and as I speak to any Muslim in the world, join us in the struggle of what you believe. I am willing to put the scriptures on a table with any other book in print today and say, let's test them. Let's see what stands. Let's look for the truth and find the truth together. The other day, I realized that I could go out in the middle of the freeway, and I could do this tonight down on 15. You see, I live in America. I love America. It's a freedom. It's a freedom that I love. It's the people I love. I still weep when I sing the national anthem. But I realize what an awesome freedom I have. I can go out and I can stand in the middle of 15 because that's public property and I have the right to stand there, right? I can stand there. Now when that truck hits me about 65 miles an hour, he has the right to be there too. And when I realized, I stood next to the freeway going, I'm not going out there because his truth is different than my truth. You know what I realized? There is a truth. There is a truth. There really is one truth. And whether I believe that truth or not is not even relative to the fact that there is a truth, and that truth stands. And in America, we have found that the truth is based on what we believe and the freedoms that we have established to live by. And that is the truth that we live under. As a Christian, I found my truth. I found that this nation is based on a God who confronts my prejudices and calls me to love all people and value all people. That's the truth of God that I found in my Bible. I have found that God is a God of covenant. Oh, when I talk to children, youth that are going to be married in young years, I say to them, listen, understand we're living in a culture that they now marry by contract, and that's the wrong thing to marry by. I want to ask you, when God says He loves you, is it, as long as you're good, I'll love you, otherwise you're not? No, if you get married and you walk into a covenant relationship, it's a covenant love of God that says, I will love you no matter what, period. Exclamation point, end of sentence. It doesn't matter what you do. I realize this God is a God of covenant. And our nation is a nation of covenant. We will stand for you and with you no matter what you believe. No matter whether you agree or disagree. That's the love of covenant. I realize that God is a God of truth. Not mine, but His. I realize that God is a God of revelation, continuing to reveal Himself to me. And these are the things that I realized in reading my scriptures. I realized that God is a God of promise. That when God promises He's going to do something, it always comes true. You know, there's a silly rumor going around that the Mideast peace issue is over a little country called Israel. That a woman building a home in the West Bank is the biggest issue for peace in the Mideast that has ever happened. That's not the truth. God, you know, there is one nation on this planet, one, that is not occupied today by force. You know what that is? It's Israel. God made a covenant with the people of Israel in the person of Abraham and said, I will give you the land for all generations. Done. America is occupied. We weren't the first ones here. There's no nation on earth that God has given to a people other than Israel. God is a God of promise. God is a God of salvation. The reason I'm telling you these things is this. If you understand who God is, according to this God of Scripture, then when you put across it the Quran and the God of Islam, all of a sudden, everything is diametrically opposed to each other. Our God is a God of reconciliation. He desires us to get along, to reconcile our differences, through forgiveness, through coming to each other in a humble manner and saying, I was wrong, please forgive me for that. It doesn't happen in other religions, especially Islam. God is strong and patient enough to allow me to question and to doubt. He even allows me to be angry. But my God forgives me and draws me to Him all the time. Not the God of Islam. My God gives me freedom to choose. My God gives me freedom not to choose Him, not in Islam. And my God